So in this video, I want to talk about formatting numbers using the print function, and in particular, controlling the number of decimals that are shown. And this will be useful for formatting kind of the results from your different homework problems that we'll have in this class. So let's just start with, from math, we're going to import pi, and that's going to be in the first cell. One thing is once you start running all these cells, it'll remember variables from one cell to the next cell. I'll talk about some of the problems later that you can have, because sometimes if you modify something up here later, it doesn't necessarily translate unless you activate it. But I won't get involved in that right now. But let's just assume it's sequential. So first thing we can do is we can print out the value pi, and it's going to print out pi with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 digits after the decimal point. And this is kind of sometimes annoying. You might not want to show it. Maybe we only show the first two significant figures after the decimal. And so what we can do is we can use a wildcard. And so what we can do is we can do print. And I'm going to put a wildcard here, percentage %f. So that stands for floating point number. And then I'm going to put the value pi with a percentage sign. So basically what this does, this operator here, is wherever it sees this flag, it's going to take the value of pi and stick it into f. And then we print it. And what we see with f is that it has a default of 6 significant figures after the decimal point. Now, if I want to change that, I come down here and I can do percentage, and maybe I want to do 20 numbers after the decimal point. And then I put f, and then I do %g, and I put pi there. And now I run it, and if you see here, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 figures after the decimal point. At some point, as you'll see, if I do like 50, I'm going to run to pi. I forget how far off the top of my head it runs pi out, but it runs it out fairly long. Let's try 100. And eventually you'll see it runs out to a certain number of decimals. I'm not going to count this, but after a while it's just going to pad zeros because that's how much it's going to store in memory. Again, if you're going to store pi, right, which has an infinite number because it's an irrational number, it's going to have an infinite number of digits after the decimal that don't repeat in any clear pattern. You're going to need an infinite amount of memory. But typically, you're going to use a value 2 of 0.2f. Now, we can use this to make things nice, so we can print things like the value of pi is, and then I can present percentage 0.4f, and then I do another percentage pi, and what you're going to see is the value of pi is 3.1416. Because here the wildcard, the flag with the percentage sign, we're sticking the value pi here, and it's telling to format it with 4 digits after the decimal point. I can also put extra characters here, so maybe I can put an apostrophe there, and you'll see an apostrophe there too. And maybe I could also rearrange it. It doesn't have to be the end. I could say percentage 0.4f is the value of pi, and I put the point there. I do the percentage, and I can do pi, and now we have the number leading there. And we can basically take the value of pi and stick it into this string value. There's other ways to format numbers. I've given you in the sample code another way, kind of the more Pythonic way, but this is the way I typically format numbers. Now we can also do multiple numbers. So let's do import, from math, let's import pi and e. And then I come down here and I could say print, and maybe I could do percentage 0.4f, and then percentage 0.4f. And then I'm going to do a percentage. In the first one, I'm going to stick in the value of pi. In the second one, I'm going to stick in the value e. Notice I put parentheses around this. This is required because it expects basically a tuple. A tuple is just a bunch of things separated with commas with parentheses around it. And I hit return, and I get the two numbers. So 3.1416 for pi and 2.7183 for e. I could also write something like the value of pi is percentage 0.4f, and then I do comma, and then the value of e is percentage 0.4f, and then I do percentage sign, I do pi e, and I have my two quotes. Actually, I want to put a period here so I can rerun it. And I can say the value of pi goes in the first one, and the value of e goes into the second one. And so that's kind of a quick overview. You can add more things. So a couple other things. You can add more comments. If we put another one, we could put in a third. I could put in, 6.2 here, and then also, and if I put a percentage 0.4f, it's going to give me back 6.2, and it's going to pad it, right, with 4 decimals, right? So even though the number itself doesn't have 6.2, it's going to pad zeros at the end of it because we asked for formatting based on that. One extra thing is if you're going to do math in here, so if I did the value is, and maybe I do %f, let's do 0.4f, and maybe I want to do 1/3. Right here I have to put parentheses around it. So I have to do parentheses around 1/3, and so I'm going to get 0.333. We can also see the limits of machine precision. If I take 24 decimals, it's going to take out 0.333, round to, I think, what's that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So it'll go 16 places after decimal, and then we're just going to get a bunch of random junk after that. So the precision's only to, 1 e to the minus 16th, right? And then that's, again, for memory storage. If I go out to 54, right, it's just going to be random junk after that. And we'll talk about the consequences of that later. But the key thing is I have to put parentheses around the expression. If I took away those parentheses, it's going to give me an error because it doesn't know what's happening, right? So I got to put the parentheses around it. Oh, forgot the last one. And I get my answer, and we'll come back to 0.4, kind of clear it up. Now, I could also do this as a string. I don't need to do this in percentage. So remember, we can set variables equal to text. So I could say the value of pi is percentage 0.4f, and then I do percentage pi, and then I can print x out here. And I'm going to have the value of pi is 3.1416. Put the period here to make it consistent. And we're going to actually use this trick a little bit later when we start generating plots and labeling those plots in an automated manner. One other wildcard to notice is, say, imagine I do print, and let's just do point, we do a float, and maybe I just have an integer here, so 1. And it's going to print out the 1 with 6 decimal places. So a nice flag is the %G flag. There's all different kinds of flags. If you look at the documentation, if you Google printf formatting, you'll see all the explanation. There's all different ways you can format numbers, including padding to the left of the decimal. And if you want to line up things on the decimal point, so you can do all kinds of formatting tricks. But if I do %G, this is just kind of a wild card. And so in this case, what it knows is 1's an integer, so it's not going to add any decimals to it. But if I did something like if I do 0.5, it's going to add 0.5. And then if I do pi, it's only going to show 5 significant figures. So when in doubt, this is the best one. You don't want to show 16 figures after or 16 digits after the decimal point, but 5's a reasonable value. So you can also use the %G here. Last one is we can also do strings. So I can print something like my name is, and I can do %S, and then I could put a percentage sign, and I could put Chris here. And it's going to say my name is Chris. I can also put the period there because I could put text after that. So we'd have the period after my name, or we could print, something like %S is my name. And then I could put % Chris here, and it's going to replace that string, right? So the %S tells us there's the string, and then we're going to take the string value, Chris, and dump it into this string, which will make a longer string. So that's just a very quick overview of formatting numbers. I strongly encourage you to use formatting and not just use the default value, right? We don't want to come back up here and show, 15 figures. When in doubt, use G with 5 figures, but some cases you might just only want to show 2 figures. So this is just a nice way to kind of control formatting and playing lots of tricks with kind of formatting your numbers just right, and also how you embed other kinds of text in strings within strings using these kind of flag operators, these percentage signs. There's percentage S for strings, percentage F for floats, percentage D, if I recall correctly, is integers, and then percentage G is one that'll strip off the decimals in case you don't need them. And with that, I will stop, and the next series of videos will be out in a day, and those will be focused on basically logical expressions, if-then loops, for loops, and while loops. All right, stay safe, guys. And if you have questions, again, put them in comments or post them on Piazza. And as always, there's more detailed examples put up on Compass. All right, bye.